Hi guys, I'm your host Adishree and this is Past the Pleasantries, the podcast where we ditch the awkwardness and talk all things periods. From pads to policy, stigma to solutions, let's break the silence. Join us in conversations that matter.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. Just to start off, do you want to introduce yourself? So, your name, your role at Urban Student, the company.
So I'm Phoebe. I'm the marketing exec at Urban Creation, and one of the sub-brands of that is Urban Student. And I do everything from content to digital marketing to press, all that kind of thing. So that's me.
And for those who might not know, what is Urban Student and what makes it unique in the housing market?
So Urban Student is a student accommodation company. What makes us different is we've been running for 2 decades in Bristol, and we don't just sort of build stuff from the ground up. We buy old properties and then redo them, redesign them to make something new. And we do sort of everything. So we do everything in-house, from design to build to kitting it all out and then to managing. So it's, you kind of get the whole package here.
And if you had to describe Urban Student in 3 words, what would they be?
I'd say quality, trustworthy and innovative.
Okay, so Urban Student is the first corporate partner in this campaign against period poverty, which can be both risky and rewarding. So what was the driving factors for Urban Student to partner with Pleasantries specifically, and what stood out about the cause or the campaign that made you think we need to be a part of this?
So we're a student-centric business, so we're always sort of looking at ways we can get involved with students and what they're up to. And so when you approached me, it was more exciting that it came directly from a student itself. It's quite rare that we get students approach us. It's usually us trying to get something from them. So that was immediately sort of exciting. And then when you told me about the initiative, you clearly were so passionate about it and had thought it through so much that, we just wanted to get involved. So...
And can you share any behind-the-scene moments, maybe internal discussions at Urban Student, where you realised this collaboration could really make a difference?
So kind of what I was saying, where when we had our Zoom call, I could tell how passionate you were about it. So I let everyone know in the office, but because there is a taboo, there are a few awkward, but actually we sat down, we spoke about it, and just speaking about a topic like that, it doesn't really happen in a corporate setting. So I think from there is a resounding yes to sort of support a student and open up a conversation.
So that's amazing, because the whole purpose of the company is to talk about it. I guess you've sort of touched on this before, but some might wonder why a student housing company would care about menstrual health. So how does this initiative align with Urban Student's bigger mission of supporting students?
I think the thing with Urban Student is we get placed in with a lot of big corporate student accommodation companies, and what most people don't know is that we're just a small company on Park Street. So at the heart of our call, we're all about giving back to Bristol and doing stuff for the community, and that's 20 years ago how the company started. Personally, when you came to me, I knew personally about period poverty, but I was shocked by the struggle to afford it in the UK. And I knew it was an issue, but if I'm biased, I didn't realise it was so much of an issue. So I just told that to the team, and we have because we're a small company, those kind of things get listened, and we've got the budget to be able to help there. So I'll say that as well. Like, putting our name on this and working with Pleasantry shows that we're a company that beyond student accommodation, we want to do a bit more.
So for Urban Student, what does success look like in this partnership beyond the numbers? So how would you measure the value of the social impact you're helping to create?
I think it's more just what we talked about earlier, just in terms of talking, just getting people to openly talk about this kind of topics, and even in the corporate environment, like the one we work in, just to open up this conversation. That would be the real impact for me beyond the numbers, just to start a dialogue. And if we have these products that are going out and people see them and they think, oh, that's interesting, that's not something, that doesn't look like my normal sanitary product, then they might come and watch a podcast like this or look into it a bit more. So I think that would be the best change for us.
Yeah, because I think when I've talked to other people, usually sanitary pads are just something that we hide away.
Even I do it, I find myself in work trying to tuck it into my trousers to walk to the loo, but
So there's often a debate about whether businesses should focus purely on profit or take a stand on social issues. So where does Urban Students sit on the spectrum, and how do you balance the two? What would you say to other companies who might be hesitant to get involved in social impact work?
So I think being a high-end student accommodation provider, that we have, quite pricey student accommodation, we're the last to kind of get praise, really. So I think there are a lot of people, outsiders, that might think we're all about profit. So I think there's so much more to us as a small company that we wanted to show that, and we wanted to show that beyond our student accommodation, we do a lot of social listening, and we're trying to kind of see what's important to students and get involved in that, and also what's important to us. So I think if there are any other businesses, obviously you have to sort of, as a marketer, you have to think, is this going to align with our brand? But ultimately, if it's something you believe in, if it's something other people believe in, you feel is right and it aligns with the company, why not just go for it?
So you've mentioned this slightly before, but so period poverty is a taboo subject in many places. So what role do you think brands and companies can play in breaking down the stigma, especially in public and corporate spaces?
It's mad that it's taboo, really. In an ideal world, it should be a right to have access to stuff, and we shouldn't have to pay for it. But yeah, but in terms of brands and companies, I just think, again, like we said, just talking, having period products in the bathrooms and things like that, having open discussions about in meeting rooms, because half of our workforce, maybe even a bit more, we're quite a female heavy workforce, go through this monthly. So just to be able to speak about it in corporate rooms and talk about troubles we might face, or just being able to talk about it openly like you would an injury or anything, really, so I think that just breaking down the stigma and just opening up the dialogue.
So sort of along that line, we're seeing a wave of businesses currently taking stands on important social issues. So what do you think the next generation of corporate social responsibility looks like, and how do you see Urban Student continuing to be a part of that movement?
So the next generation of social responsibility, I think, is more about, I see it in sort of social media marketing. I know that they're not really linked, but it's more about being able to back up your actions. I think a lot of people and a lot of companies, big corporate companies, can't post a flashy LinkedIn post anymore and expect to, say they've covered a topic. They need to back it up with actions and show that they're doing something about it. So I think that's a big change that we're going to see. And how we're going to do that, I mean, we already are trying to do it with our properties, because we're big on sustainability, making sure that our building work is top scratch. So just being able to back up that we can show that we're helping this, like this initiative. We can talk about it like today, but we want to show we're doing stuff with real products. So
if you could envision the impact of this campaign 5 years from now, what do you hope to see in terms of both business and social change?
So in terms of business, I'd just like people to see that we're a company that cares more about just student housing. We've got more to offer, and we do listen and we give back to our community. So that's kind of what I'd like to, hope it opens doors to more collaborations like this, especially student-based ones. And then in terms of social change, just again, I've said it, but getting people talking, opening up a dialogue with students and corporate companies, and just,
For companies listening who might want to explore partnerships for social impact, what's your message to them about taking the first step?
I think sort of a bit what I mentioned earlier. As from a branding point of view, you do have to think, is this going to align? Is this going to look right if we back this? There's certain things that you need to consider, but ultimately, if it aligns with your company's values, if it's something you individually feel is right and you've put it to your team and they agree, then I just think, why not go for it? And if you have the fundings to be able to help, I think it's a good thing to do. So.
Where can listeners learn more about Urban Student and what's next for you in the realm of student support and social responsibility?
So you can find us on our website at urban-student.co.uk. We also have an Instagram and a TikTok. For international students, if anyone's listening, we have a WeChat and a little red book. And also we're at 62 Park Street, so you can literally just walk in. We've got a nice open reception area that people can come and see. And in terms of social responsibility, we're shouting out a lot at the moment about the sustainability in our upcoming projects. We've got a big one up on Park Street, which probably a lot of people see. So I've got a massive sign on the front. with our logo. When it comes to supporting students, we're trying to get in touch with Bristol SU Society. Any Bristol SU societies, we'd love to hear from you. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Nice.